Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now, just like with Summer of Pain, every single week I will be trying my best to upload a guide the same evening as we have a new challenge in Eternity of Pain. So this week we have to deal with this Crossbones, and this Crossbones is quite painful guy. He has Biohazard, which is kind of like rule number one. You need to be able to deal with bleed, absolutely, and ideally poison. So that's the key thing. Then we also need to keep in mind Vital Strike, which basically means you can't let him hit your block much, if at all, or he's going to be healing quite a lot. Then we have Bane, which makes this fight so much harder because the AI is absolutely dreadful at times, and sometimes he just starts holding that level 1 and just messes everything up. I definitely experienced a lot of uncooperative AI during my stream. I will leave a link to my stream in the video description below. We have Inflated Ego, which basically means that he has to have 3 buffs active. Now, as long as you're not using a villain champion, that's never a problem, because whenever he activates level 1s, he gains Furies and everything's fine and dandy. However, if you are using a villain champion, which is one of the objectives, it all of a sudden becomes much harder, because he only gains 1 Fury. That means he needs to activate 3 level 1s for you to be able to do damage to him in a very quick succession. So ideally you want a champion that inflicts debuffs on Crossbones that he can shrug off, thus giving him extra Furies. I'm gonna get to that a bit later on as well. So first things first, as promised in the video title, I do have a solo, and this is honestly probably the easiest champion to solo this fight with, so far in my testing anyways, and it's Omega Sentinel, because she's effectively bleed and poison immune, and what's even better than that, she just keeps getting regen procs whenever Biohazard triggers. And then on top of all of that, she has massive armor rating, so you actually don't stress too much when he hits your block, because he's not going to be healing much. Now, I did make a mistake in this fight. I should have started with a heal block pre-fight, because I never throw a single heavy attack in this fight, so that heal block pre-fight would have remained this entire fight. Now, this fight isn't going to be perfect, and it still does take a while. I think it's about 4-minute fight. Here we can see that I have my armor ups stacking up there, and the more of those armor ups I have, obviously the tankier she gets, and a lot of people still don't have a clear idea of how tanky Omega Sentinel is when she has all of those armor ups up. Then on top of that, we saw how painful that Bane is. Obviously, the further the fight goes, the less punishing the Bane is. This is one of those fights where if you mess up at start, like we can see that I'm already at 50% health. And if I wouldn't be using a champion that heals, in total, because before I had another couple ticks of Bane, and now I had more of it, and now again, I would have been pretty much dead here. So if you are not using like a regeneration champion, which there aren't too many options available for, it is very, very, very punishing if you mistime that Bane even for a second. The reason why it is easy with Omega Sentinel is because she can kind of handle it. And you can see her regenerating pretty much throughout the entire fight. And, you know, that's just going to keep my health topped up. Then my armor ups are going to be putting in the work. And you can choose whether you want to go with level 2s or level 3s. I kind of prefer level 2 rotation. So I have managed to stick one of her personal debuffs that I'm trying to pause basically as much as possible. And then I'm just spamming my level 2s, trying to get another Incinerate active and finish all my combos with light attacks just to pause that Incinerate. Now I only have one, and obviously because Crossbones keeps shrugging off all my debuffs, we're not really able to amass a lot of damage. In one of the fights I actually got up to 6 Incinerates that I was able to maintain, but that was because I got quite lucky with level 1, where I got 2 debuffs remain up. But at the same time, you can see Omega Sentinel, 10 armor ups, and I'm still regenerating, and the Crossbones already at 41%. Once you get him halfway down, the Bane is significantly less painful, so you don't have to worry about it as much. And that is basically the gist of the fight. Omega Sentinel is by far the easiest of all the fights that I did personally on the stream, and then afterwards recording for this solo. In fact, on the stream at my very first attempt as well, I managed to get in solo with Omega Sentinel. So that was like an undeniable proof of how well she functions for this fight. And obviously she does fulfill the villain mission. So I will be giving you guys the best counters as well for each of the objectives. But check this out. He's going to be regenerating for absolutely nothing, because even this Crossbones dealt me only like 600 damage in block to Omega Sentinel. That is how tanky she is. She's an absolute powerhouse. And now at this point, he only has like 15% health left. Unfortunately, he doesn't have 3 Furies, which again is something that I do need to keep an eye out basically at all times. And he still doesn't have 3 Furies. I actually didn't notice, but that is because I pushed him to level 2. Baiting out those level 1s is super important, not only not to take block damage, but it's also very important in order to be able to do damage to Crossbones, because without that level 1, you really need to keep an eye on how many Furies he has and how many debuffs you are inflicting on him. Here we can see those Incinerates have been dealing damage in the background at all times. Now I'm just taking a ton of hits in block. Doesn't matter. Everything's fine. And yeah, Crossbones is dead. So that was a full-on solo there. And as I said, I did a stream, and my own solo objectives got fulfilled. My own solo objectives got fulfilled with Dragonman initially. So you can see that, well, that's a bit too big, I suppose. That's a bit too big, I suppose. 1 second, let's get them back. YouTube being edgy. But yeah, Dragonman is definitely an awesome option as well, because you can obviously benefit from Mystic Dispersion, and also you regenerate any damage you take on block. So that is quite helpful. And just the idea that you consistently have a special attack that you can throw to kind of convert Bane Timer easier. Now, it took quite a while. It did take quite a while with Dragonman. My Dragonman was only rank 2 though, but it did take about like 8 minutes or so, because it also involved throwing a lot of special attacks, as you can see here. And now I need to bait out that level 2 that I'm going to have to take in a block. Unfortunately, here he just waits until my Unstoppable expires. Otherwise, I would have regenerated most of that damage. So he can be a bit annoying like that. Crossbones AI is definitely very annoying here. So again, I just need him to throw that special. He doesn't want to, so I'm going to throw my own again, pushing him to a level 2 once more. Luckily, Dragonman still has his Mega Ultra Super Special Secret Regeneration. So that definitely did help us out quite a bit in this fight as well. And here we can see that, unfortunately, again, Crossbones doesn't have the 3 Furies. And because he doesn't have the 3 Furies, because I baited out 2 level 2s in a row, I was doing no damage there, unfortunately, to him. But obviously, as soon as you corner him, Dragonman does chirp out even better damage numbers there. And yeah, he definitely does work. So I did get the Mystic Champion and Extra Large Champion mission done with my rank 2 Dragonman. Dragonman is also one of the best options for these fights, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And the finish should be quite close there. Got another level 3. Here we go. So we have last 5% or whatever. I think I'm going to be just going for my level 2, and yeah, that will get the job done. And then afterwards, I did had a bit of a struggle. I used my Nimrod for my initial villain takedown, and that did take a while. I did have quite a bit of resets on stream. Again, I will leave a link to the stream in the description. You guys can check it out yourselves. But what is it? YouTube seems to be buffering a bit, but that's fine. We're gonna leave a link in the video description there. But I did try out a few more options, and on that subject, let's go over all of the best options in each category. So for villains, as I said, Omega Sentinel, in my opinion, is pretty much the best. But Sentinel did amazing. I did a very good progress even with a 5-star until I messed up. So I do think Sentinel is really good for this fight. Nimrod is what I personally use to get it done. Then we have Omega Red with Coagulate. That's very important for both Omega Red and Sauron. And if you want to use Magneto, then for Magneto as well, you have to have points in Coagulate to offset that bleed damage. Because even if you take 5 or 10% bleed damage, it's going to be enough to get you KO'd. Then I know for a fact that Ultron can do it. I tried around a bit with King Groot, and he was quite alright. But you still need to keep in mind, If you get a single poison on you, it's gonna kill you. Now, King Groot's Furies can shrug off those poisons, but again, if you just catch on them on your regen phase, for instance, if you hit his block once in the regen phase, you're probably gonna be dead. So with King Groot, you have to be very, very wary of mistakes. And with Ghost, we have the problem that you have to be very quick and very aggressive. It's definitely not an easy fight with Ghost, despite the biohazard, because Ghost is a villain. You don't inflict debuffs. Now, if you want to make it easier for yourself, and this is going to be secret special advice. If you want to make it easier for yourself with Ghost, activate Resonate. If you will have Resonate on, it's going to be an easy fight. If you will have Resonate on with Ghost, believe you me, it's going to be an easy fight. I actually kind of want to upload a separate solo. I actually might do that tomorrow morning. But there we go. If you want to use Ghost, you can. You need to get that Resonate on. There we go. And we have XL champs. And then for XL champions, these are my better suggestions. We have Dragon Man, which I think is pretty much the best. Then we have Warlock, who is a great option as well. I tried him out initially, and he was doing great progress as well. It's just that I was getting accustomed to that AI, and that AI was definitely throwing me for a loop pretty much every single time. Sentinel is a great option, and again, you can overlap and do the fight with King Groot, and then you're going to fulfill both of these, XL and Villain. A lot of people have been wondering about APOC, and it is actually very, very hard fight with APOC because Crossbones can't purify your debuffs, and because of that, again, you're going to be struggling to get enough Furies. Other than that, I think it's pretty much it. You can still add a few champions to this if you really want to be that guy. You can still add... Whoops. You can still add Dormammu, because Dormammu is one of the champions that fulfills all of the conditions. And you can add Mangog. But it's really not an easy fight with them. Besides those guys, I think that's pretty much it here. You can probably try Thing, but it's an awful idea. Yeah, this is all that I would list here. And I'm only listing Dormammu and Mangog because they also overlap with the Mystic. And Mystic is very scarce there. Again, Dragon Man, perfect option, very good fight. I did it with the rank 2. Took a while, but again, you would be fulfilling XL and Mystic conditions in the same go. And then we have Claire, who should be able to do this fight, but I have not tried. But I think Claire could be an option. Then we have Dormammu, Mangog, and other two champions that have a potential to do this fight, in my opinion, is Man-Thing, because you're going to be nullifying his Furies and inflicting armor breaks and poisons that he's going to be purifying. You're going to be consistently feeding your Mystic Dispersion. It could work, in theory. And then we have Morningstar, which I also think could work, because if you get off a good level 2, you'll be dealing quite a lot of damage. But then also, at the same time, you'll be nullifying. So I'm not entirely sure how that interaction. Maybe a level 1 spam, but at the very least, Morningstar is bleed immune. Overall, I definitely would say that Dragon Man seemed like the better option there, by far. It is a fairly niche requirement. It definitely is a fairly niche requirement. And I know that Mystic one is only for Paragon players, so if it does not affect you, then obviously you can completely ignore it. But that's pretty much it. I will try to make the next guide slightly more comprehensive, but it's also kind of like a time crunch situation where I need to do the stream, do the fights, and then, you know, record some footage and have everything out and ready for you guys as soon as possible. And before I manage to upset my better half for taking too late. Either way, hope you guys find this video useful, and I will catch you guys later. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about